Hello from ISEP Study Abroad headquarters in Washington, D.C. This is ISEP Live. My name is Chris. I'll be your host today. We're talking about Spanish around the world, and we have some really exciting programs to talk to you about in both Latin America and Spain. So let's get started. I'll give you an idea of what programs we will be talking about. First, we'll start off with a brief description of ISEP. What is ISEP? How does it work? From there, we'll be talking about Universidad de Murcia in Spain. We'll have, secondly, discussing Pontificia Universidad Católica del Valparaíso in Chile. And we finish off with Universidad Católica del Uruguay in Uruguay. And finally, we do have some time for your question and answers. We want to hear from you. There's a number of different ways you can ask us questions. We have the hashtag ISEPLive, so feel free to send your questions that way. We'll be on the lookout for those. We'll also be sharing, as we go along, some interesting facts using that hashtag, so follow along there. You do also have the option to use your in-system question and answer tool right in your Google Hangout window, answer box there. So feel free to ask us questions there as well. From there, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, we're going to start off talking about ISEP in general. So what is ISEP? ISEP is a nonprofit organization, and you are a student at a member institution, so you have access to a number of different programs through the ISEP network. All of our programs fall in one of two categories, so let's talk about those for just a second. We have our ISEP Direct and ISEP Exchange programs. So the ISEP Direct programs are a program type where you pay your fees directly to ISEP, and those fees will include your tuition, and depending on your program could include things like housing and meal plan. And from there, ISEP enrolls you directly into the university that you're studying with. With our ISEP Direct programs, you have an excellent chance of placement as long as you meet the minimum requirements for each of those programs. Your other program type is an ISEP Exchange. On ISEP Exchange, you pay your tuition, housing, and meals directly back to your home university, and students from all over the world are doing the same, paying their tuition, housing, and meals to their home universities, and all of you have access to the worldwide network of exchanges. So it's just what it sounds like, an exchange program in that way. So now that we have an idea of our two different program types, let's start talking about specifics. To talk about our first program, we have our Director of Iberian and Latin American Programs, Linda Stewart, and she's going to talk to us just a little bit about a program in Spain. So take it away, Linda.
Hi, how are you? My name is Linda Stewart, and I am the Director for the Latin American and Iberian programs here at ISEP. I was born in Honduras, raised in Colombia, and lived in Venezuela until I came to ISEP in 2003. I also did my study abroad program for a full year in Madrid, in Spain. What I'm going to talk to you about today, of course, is the Universidad de Murcia in Murcia, Spain. Why study at Murcia? Well, I can think of three reasons right off the bat. One is that it hosts one of the most famous Semana Santa, or Easter processions, true to century-long traditions. The second reason that I can think of is students have the opportunity of living in shared apartments in the historical part of the city, dotted with cafes and cathedrals and buildings dating back to the 13th century, and connect to the university by a light rail line. A third reason that I can think of for studying in Murcia are the excursions, especially those offered by the Language and Culture program. One of the best excursions that I can think of is the one to Granada and the chance to visit La Alhambra, which is one of the most spectacular examples of Moorish architecture in Spain. Now, if you go to Murcia, what can you study? You have two options. If you are a student with 4 semesters of Spanish, you can take the Language and Cultural program with 5 to 6 classes designed for language learners that focus on cultural history and language. The other option is geared towards students with 6 semesters of Spanish wishing to take regular students alongside local students, while some students take Spanish and Lit classes Courses are offered in many other disciplines, including business classes in either Spanish or English. Now, if you still want to study for semester 2, 14-15, the deadline has been extended to October 30th, so you still have time to apply. And if you're thinking of next fall, you have until April 30th to be able to apply. One of the other great options at Murcia is the full year option, where you can take the language and cultural program for the first semester, followed by the regular courses for the second semester, or you can take the full year of both regular courses, semester 1 and semester 2.
Great. That's awesome. And great that there's still time to apply for this coming spring.
Yes, definitely. Think about it.
Yeah. Well, a couple questions for you about Murcia.
Sure.
Tell us about opportunities for travel and excursions. You touched on excursions a little bit, but let's hear more about those.
Okay, Murcia is a great place to be if you want to travel, both around Spain and Europe, as it is located in the, the southern western part of Spain. From there, you can travel to Madrid in the central part of the country. You can travel to Barcelona in the western part of the country. Of course, you are connected by excellent modern bus and rail transportation. Murcia is also located right near an international airport as well as a local airport, which means you can either fly to other destinations within Spain or you can travel all over Europe.
Wow. That's excellent.
It's great.
Yeah. Let's hear about the type of support that ISEP students get at Murcia. What does that look like?
One of the great things about Murcia is their long-standing ISEP coordinator, Roberto. You will love him. What is an ISEP coordinator? That is a member of the staff at the University of Murcia who is there to help you with all your questions, who will be there during orientation, and who will help you with all types of issues you may encounter, be they housing, academics, enrolling in courses, dropping courses, or even questions about where to travel and how to get there. You also have the support of what is called the VMUR, which is Living in Murcia, and they will help you get those shared apartments I talked about before.
Oh, that's very exciting. Thank you so much. I also wanted to pitch to everyone before Linda left us. Our program officer for Spain, Hillary, couldn't be with us today, but she recently returned from a site visit to Murcia and shared her experience on Twitter. So that's a great resource for you. She's on Twitter at ISEP Hillary, spelled H-I-L-A-R-Y. So check her out there. You can see all of her tweets from Murcia, but also if you have any questions for her about the program or any more specifics, you can get in touch with her directly that way. So.
And remember, you can always go to www.isep.org.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Linda.
You're quite welcome. My pleasure.
Great. Next, we have our program officer for Latin America, Rachel, here to share a couple of other programs with us. So take it away, Rachel.
Hi, Chris. The first university that we're going to talk about is La Universidad Pontificia. Oh, sorry, I got confused and I thought we were studying with a different university. We are starting with La Pontificia Universidad Católica de Uruguay. Oh, just to provide some background information on Valparaiso, the city of Valparaiso is a haven for creative artists, actors, painters, and philosophers. The house of Pablo Neruda is actually located in Valparaiso, which you can go visit. Valparaiso was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2013 and is considered Chile's cultural capital. The program is unique because students are able to live with host families to experience the Chilean lifestyle and can volunteer to get engaged in the local community. Valparaiso provides a wide, diverse, and flexible academic options that allows students from any level of Spanish to take courses. Instead of program options, there are sets of courses that students can take courses from and really build their own schedule. The types of courses that you can take are regular university courses, which require 5 semesters of Spanish, courses taught in Spanish, which is usually for 6 semesters of Spanish, courses taught in English for international students, which is exclusively offered on direct and requires 0 to 2 semesters of Spanish, and Spanish language and culture, which is 0 to 5 semesters. The types of courses range from Chilean folklore to Chilean culture and history, globalization, traditional dance, and regular university courses. So there's lots of options for students. The deadlines for spring are December 1st, 2014, for fall, May 1st, 2015, direct full year, May 1st. Prices are available on our website, and if you need any further information, you can visit www.isep.org, like Linda mentioned, and also check out the Valparaiso directory page for specific program and sets of courses information.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Of course, Chris.
We actually have a student with us who recently returned from the program in Valparaiso. Let's get Holly with us. Are you there, Holly?
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Great. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my home university is the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, so I'm from Wisconsin, and I studied at La Universidad Católica de Valparaiso in this past spring semester, so I just got back in July. And yeah, it was the greatest thing I've ever done. I loved it so much.
Great. Well, we're excited to hear about it. Tell us about a typical day in Valparaiso.
Well, usually I would take either the bus or they call it the metro, which is their subway, to school. And just you'd go to school. Most of the exchange students have their classes in some of the same buildings, so they're easy to get to. They don't make you go, because the campus is technically spread over 2 cities, but they don't really make you go around like that. They're mainly in one building. And the bus ride goes right along the coast, so you see the ocean on your bus ride, which was awesome. And so yeah, I would go to class, and classes there weren't too bad, and some of my classes had lots of exchange students and some had lots of Chilean students, so it was great to get that kind of mixture of the culture, but also have other exchange students to help me through it. And after class, usually I stayed at home for lunch and ate lunch with my host family, because they are very, very much about being together for meals. Everyone comes home for lunch and eats together, and that's how they are with every meal. And so yeah, then I'd go to class, and when classes were over, sometimes if it was nice out, I'd go do things at the beach or in the city with my friends, but once it got a little cold out, I would usually just go home. And Chileans don't really eat a typical dinner. At night we would have what they call once, which is just like bread and tea or coffee, and the bread usually has like jam or avocado on it, and that's all they eat at night, and then they typically go to bed really late. There were plenty of times where my host parents stayed up later than I did because I couldn't stay up any longer.
It sounds like you had a great experience, and it sounds like your experience with your host family is a big part of that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your host family and what that was like?
Yeah. I loved my host family. I still talk to them every week. I miss them so much. I lived with my host mom and dad, and then I had 3 siblings who were one was 24, then 21 my age, so that was really nice to have siblings who are all around my age to help me out, give me some advice about things to do. And I don't know, I spent a lot of time with them when I was at home, and both of my sisters had boyfriends, and it's very typical therefore if the boyfriend to spend a lot of time with the family of his girlfriend, and so both of their boyfriends practically lived with us too, so it was like having 2 more siblings, which at first was definitely overwhelming because I couldn't understand what they were saying, but it ended up being a blast, and I had so much fun with them, and I still talk to my host mom almost every week, and we actually also had a dog, which by the end the dog was sleeping in my room. She would always wander in there at night.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like you had a real immersive experience. Last question for you. What made you choose ISEP specifically and the program in Valparaiso?
Okay. I knew I wanted to study in Latin America, and because I'm a Spanish major, and I was looking through the programs that my school offered, and I went to our study abroad fair and got lots of information there, and ISEP really stood out to me because ISEP is very individual based, and it made me think just individual adventure and kind of being thrown into the fire, and I know that's the way to learn a language, which is why I wanted to go. And I didn't want to go on any of the I'm not trying to say anything bad about the other programs, but a lot of the other programs are, at my school at least, where it's a group of 20, 25 students from your school who go all together and pretty much do everything together. They have planned activities and things like that, and I definitely didn't want that. I wanted to be able to do my own thing and just have to adjust because I thought that was the best way to learn about the culture and learn the language, and I definitely don't regret doing that. It was so scary when I first got there. I didn't know a single person or could barely speak, but I think ISEP is great because it's so individual, and you really get to have your own adventures and your own experience.
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us, Holly. It sounds like you had a great experience, and we appreciate you taking some time to share it with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Holly.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you again to Holly. I understand you have another program to share with us.
I have one more program to talk about before we finish up. That was great that we had an ambassador. So the next program that we're going to be talking about is La Universidad Católica de Uruguay. Uruguay is a unique location for students to visit. It's really considered to be one of the best kept secrets of Latin America. It has a vibrant culture, outstanding food, and some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. There's a lot of fun things that students can do around town. There's the original soccer stadium, which hosted the world's first World Cup. There is a still standing gate to a Spanish fort, and there's various museums that students can visit while they're there. Also, this program is unique because it allows students to get really involved within their communities. Students can participate in community engagement activities and find out about volunteering opportunities through the international fair that is hosted every semester. As far as academics for Uruguay, most students that participate in this program have 5 semesters of Spanish or the equivalent. Students take regular courses, which means that they are taking classes with Uruguayan students, which really helps them develop and strengthen their language skills. In addition to regular courses, students can also take 4 classes that are exclusively for international students. Those courses are Uruguayan and Latin American history, Uruguayan literature, Spanish language, which is offered at 2 levels, and Uruguayan culture. The deadlines for Uruguay are November 15th for spring, which means there's still time to apply. For fall, the deadline is May 1st, 2015, and direct 4-year is May 1st, 2015.
Great. Thank you so much, Rachel. Let's take some time to ask a few questions about that program specifically. To start with, what's unique about Uruguay?
Well, Uruguay is pretty unique in the sense that there's not a lot of other foreigners there. So students are more inclined to meet people from Uruguay and learn more about the people of that country. It also helps them, as I mentioned before, in addition to taking classes with Uruguayan students, it's a great way for them to perfect their Spanish. Another great thing about Uruguay is that there's the city that students can visit, but it's also a small country with really great travel options. There's buses that go around the country. There's beautiful beaches. It's a mild climate. They also just redid the international airport in Montevideo, which now has direct flights to Brazil, Argentina, and Chile multiple times per day. If you don't want to fly, you can take a bus. There are different kinds of buses. There's coach buses where you sit in the seats, and then there's coche cama buses, which means you can pretty much lay down and lounge for those longer bus rides to make them more comfortable. And there's also even a ferry that travels from Uruguay to Argentina and back, which just crosses the river delta between the 2 countries.
Great, thank you. And I do have one more question for you, but before we get to that, I did want to remind everyone that you have your chance to ask questions, again, using the hashtag ISEP Live on Twitter, or you're welcome to use your in-system question tool right here in Google Hangout. But before we get to that, Rachel, last question for you.
Of course.
What opportunities for professional development are there for students who participate in this program? How do you think students, specifically going to Uruguay, might develop professionally?
As I mentioned before, Uruguay does offer volunteer and community engagement programs. In addition to those programs, students can also get involved on sports teams or clubs, such as choir, theater, or visual arts. And together, all of those, the community engagement and student activities, really create opportunities for students to make connections and network. It also gives them experience working internationally, which is something that they can list, on their resume and cover letters. A lot of students that end up studying abroad decide that they want to do something international and end up in the international fields, international education, international relations, or international development. So being able to list that you have the experience volunteering abroad is a really great way to set you apart from other students, and to help launch your career after graduation.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Rachel.
Of course.
All right. And again, just one last reminder, we do have that hashtag ISEP Live. So if you have any questions today, later on, or after, if you're watching this video on YouTube and have questions for us, feel free to send them to us that way. Also, just giving you some steps from here. Now that we've learned about all these great programs, how can you learn more? How can you get started with the process? So your first step is to research programs. Like Linda and Rachel mentioned, our website is a great resource. We're at www.isep.org. Definitely check us out there for more information on these and other programs, and also connect with us on social media. We're at ISEP Study Abroad on most of your major social media networks, and that's a great way to learn about what things we have going on at ISEP headquarters. From there, it's time to meet with your ISEP coordinator. As Linda mentioned before, there is an individual on your campus who knows all about ISEP and can help you through the process. Your ISEP coordinator can help you as you research different programs. Your ISEP coordinator can help you through the application process. So they're definitely someone that you want to meet with and get started with the process with them. From there, once you've decided on a program and you've met with your ISEP coordinator, it's time to apply. Again, with our online application, you can find that on our website at isep.org/apply, and you can begin to see what materials are required for you there. So that is all the time we have today for ISEP Live. Thank you to Rachel, thank you to Holly, our student who joined us, and thank you to Linda Stewart for being with us today, and thank you for watching. This recording is available on YouTube, so if you missed any part of our show today, or you need to see anything again, definitely check us out there. And again, any questions you might have along the way, send them our way on social media using hashtag ISEP Live.
Thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks.